gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's December the 27th, 2023. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined this morning by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented today by GameTime.co, your destination for all your ticketing needs. Go to GameTime.co or use the GameTime app. They will hook you up with the best tickets at the best prices. We'll talk a little bit more about GameTime later. But first, Matt Shodell, we took a couple days off in regards to this show for the holidays, and now we are back in swing here. And man, so much to talk about with the Pinstripe Bowl coming up here on Thursday, with a little bit of a pause in recruiting, but the drama surrounding transfer quarterback Cam Ward continuing. We even have a blast from the past, a defensive back by the name of Antoine Jackson. Remember him? He was a Miami commit a couple years ago until he decided to go to East Carolina with his girlfriend. He was 16 at the time. He reclassified, went with his girlfriend to East Carolina. Surprise, surprise, surprise. That didn't work out so well. Now Antoine Jackson is searching for a new home. The Miami Hurricanes are not recruiting him as of yet, but he's recruiting Miami, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show as well. But Matt, I think we should just start with the subject that is most on everybody's minds here as we go through this week, the final week of the year, and that is the recruitment of transfer quarterback Cam Ward, the university acclaimed #1 player, potentially in the transfer portal. A guy that Miami has been engaged with from the very beginning. He has visited Miami. His camp has been speaking regularly with Miami. His representatives have been feeling out the collective. I mean, there's like every base has been covered except for one, and that is what is holding this thing up, Matt. And that is, what are the current NFL prospects of Cam Ward? And his father is bound to determine that they are not going to make a decision until they have 100% to their satisfaction ascertained that part of the equation. So therefore, they're not really concerned with any timelines or your anxiety out there as a fan, hoping that Miami can land this extremely talented quarterback that might give the 2024 season championship promise. They're not concerned with any of that. And, you know, you have to make a decision. Are you bothered by that? I know I'm a little bothered. We'll talk about that. We'll see what Matt thinks, but actually we might as well just start with what you think, Matt, because probably that's all that matters right now to your legion of fans that have had to survive the Christmas holidays without your morning wisdom. So listen, you've spoken to Cam Ward's dad on multiple occasions. You've communicated with him. You've covered that story, but no commitment has come. And he was saying Christmas. It didn't come at Christmas. Right now, nobody has any clue when Cam Ward might make his decision on whether he is going to come to Miami or not come to Miami. Your thoughts on it all, and should the Canes fan be concerned?
Well, you mentioned the nice holiday we just had. So happy Christmaka to you. All I wanted for Christmaka was one thing.
I should have said happy holidays to everybody too. I'm sorry. I got distracted by all these different things we're talking about, but we do both, and our entire team, Azubi, Steven, we hope that you guys all did have a great holiday with your family.
You know, and all I wanted for Christmaka was one thing. I wanted a quarterback. I had a great mint condition first circulation United States quarter. Gave it to my son as an heirloom, and he lost it. So I want my quarterback. But as it pertains, no, that's a terrible joke. As it pertains to Cam Ward, you know, I don't really get it because I don't really understand what their process is. You would think they would have all the information they need. He's not playing any more games. He is what he is. Nobody else is really playing any more games. It's going to be ahead of him in the NFL draft. The information is what the information is. It's not like he's going to the NFL Combine and then deciding. I don't get it. And I had, does he want to see the Miami Bowl game? Like, the only thing I can think of right now is if the Miami offense looks awful in the bowl game, maybe it'll scare him off. Like, do they want to see the bowl game first? I don't know.
How can you judge by that? I mean, you got a quarterback who hasn't played in a year.
No.
Like, come on.
This makes no sense. I had been corresponding with the dad a lot, and we had a really nice talk at one point. Great guy. But now he's treating me like Miami fans treated Tyler Van Dyke. I'm persona non grata. They're not talking to the media, and maybe it would behoove them to explain what they're actually doing, because right now there's Miami fans who are just sick of this. They're concerned because, let's face it, Miami's schedule next year is easy. Miami's got has had a really good defense this year. There's no reason they can't have a really good defense next year. The problem this year was the offense. All that's missing on the offense is a real good playmaking quarterback to me, and that's what Cam Ward is. But by Mario, letting Cam Ward essentially appear to string him along, which is what I believe is happening. I don't think Mario's any happier about this than any Miami fan is. I think Mario would have liked to have a commitment from Cam Ward by now. And if you let him string you along long enough, and then Cam Ward says, you know what? My agent says that I should go to the NFL, because that's what agents do. And now where's Miami? Because is Will Howard right now seems a little bit willing to wait, but it's not a guarantee. And then after that, you're looking at another quarterback that you're trying to get at some point, and you really want one for the spring. That's the problem. If they can't get a top caliber quarterback in for the spring, and I get it, Mario might not want to settle for a quarterback. You don't want to do that. But to wait for the next portal window, and now the guys missed spring practice, whoever it's going to be, it's so important. Spring practice is so important to really get things going for the next year. I mean, how do you even have 15 practices with an Emory Williams with half an arm and potentially no other scholarship quarterback except for Judd Anderson, who doesn't even know the offense, because Jakari very well may transfer after this bowl game. I would expect him to, actually. Not a good situation. And I just don't get it. So just from what I know about what agents do tell these guys, and this could be part of the hang-up, because it was supposed to be done by now. Like, this was supposed to have been signed, sealed, and delivered. And I think Miami thought it was pretty much done for several days now. I think they thought it had been done, and it's just not. And part of the hang-up might be, and I do think it's Miami versus the NFL. I don't think it's Miami versus Ohio State or Miami versus FSU. I think it's Miami versus the NFL. And what agents sell these players on, what might be causing the family, this is conjecture, but what might be causing the family this angst, and thereby causing Mario Cristobal some angst and Miami fans some angst. You can look up what angst means. I'm going to say it as many times as possible in the matter of 1 minute. Is that agents tell, especially quarterbacks, to start their NFL clock as early as possible, because let's face it, an NFL career doesn't last very long, and age has a lot to do with it. Pro teams are always looking for the young, new guy. And the way the NFL works is if you're not a first-round pick, really where your money lies as a quarterback is after your first contract, which lasts 3 years. I think, for instance, the San Fran quarterback, Purdy, is making under $1 million this year, for instance, right? He obviously was, I think, the last pick of the draft, but this is his third year. Next year, he'll make a fortune. After the third year, for any NFL player, you're making a lot of money, as long as you're still in the league. And so if this family decides that he'll be in the league after 3 years, that he's good enough to do that, which I think most people think he will be, even as a backup, you're going to make more money in your second contract than you're going to make in your NIL deal at a Miami or wherever else for that 1 year. So an agent can say, hey, Mr. Ward, here's the numbers, right? Let's just call it $1.5 million. You can make $1.5 million right now in NIL, and he's not going to make that as a third round, fourth round pick, whatever, in 1 year. In the NFL, over the term of the contract, he would obviously, but for the first year, he's not going to make $1.5 million probably, depending how high he can go. But in that second contract, when he gets to it, if his window is now pushed back a year age-wise, they could say, listen, you're leaving $2, $3, $4, $5 million on the table long-term by not going to the NFL now. And on top of that, they can say, out of the last 15 years at Miami, how many years has that quarterback really helped himself, get better the following year, right? Maybe 3 or 4 years out of the last 15, the offense has actually been really good. And the argument can be made that he may drop in the draft, right? Depending on what happens with the Miami offense and how he looks in it. Because the offense certainly didn't do Tyler Van Dyke any favors. So there's definitely reasons why the family might have some caveats and why they might want to see the bowl game and see how a more mobile quarterback can function in Shannon Dawson's offense, because Tyler Van Dyke's not mobile. Some fans wanted to say he wasn't, but Jakari Brown is. And so maybe the family's pushing this back a little bit to see the bowl game and see how he uses Jakari, because Jakari's a little bit more like Cam Ward, way more mobile than Cam Ward, but he's more like Cam Ward because Cam Ward is mobile. He'll run for 400 or 500 yards in a season than Tyler Van Dyke is. Maybe that's it. I can't get in their brains. The dad has, Jaleel Florence, me, for those of you that watched the show for years now. And it's just conjecture, but that's what it's what seems to be common sense, right? Because the dad had told us he's announcing, by Christmas, whatever. Now he hasn't. So those are just the crazy thoughts rummaging around in my head for why maybe it's been delayed.
All right. So I'm a little torn on this, and I like your point about possibly wanting to watch Jakari, because Jakari really is similar to Cam Ward, other than he's not as accurate a thrower, hasn't proven he can be, and doesn't have the game experience that Cam Ward has and the success that Cam Ward has. But in terms of being a dual threat quarterback, they are somewhat similar. So maybe he does want to watch that. But anyway, I'm a little torn on this whole thing for a couple of reasons. I'm a parent, and my initial thought as I watched everybody twist and turn and get upset on the message boards and stuff, and I'm always aligned behind all you guys on the message boards. I mean, we're all in this together. So I'm watching everybody kind of get a little anxious, and my initial thought is what everybody else's was, that Mario's being screwed around. What if he gets left at the altar? What are they going to do for a quarterback? All those things go through your head. But sitting here as a parent, I'm thinking if my son were in the same situation, I would want to cover all my bases too. And I know that I hold the cards. I'm the top quarterback in the portal. I have all this potential. I can be a difference maker for not just Miami, but several other programs. And they're going to wait for me. And if they don't wait for me, so what? There'll be somebody else. Okay. There's going to be all kinds of movement after the bowl games in the portal. There'll be a lot of teams looking for a quarterback of Cam Ward's ability. So, I put myself in the fatherly shoes, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to do my research. I'm going to talk to as many people as I can, and I'm going to explore every angle that I can as it pertains to the NFL. And we're not making a decision on this NFL college thing until we have all the facts and we feel we can make an educated decision. Now, I think Matt's point is pretty good that by now that probably could have happened. I'm not going to say should have happened. It probably could have happened. And that decision could have been made. Where my concern from the University of Miami football program standpoint comes in is, let's assume, and I don't have the exact figure, that would be the final landing point, but I feel pretty comfortable saying that his NIL prospects are above $1 million for this 1 year. Probably closer to 1.5. And that's probably from the collective alone before he gets into other endorsements locally that his agent would probably try to line up. So this could be a $1.5 to $2 million season for Cam Ward, potentially, if he comes to Miami. If I'm offering a young man that type of opportunity, and I'm sitting here twisting and turning and waiting for a decision, now taking my fatherly hat off and putting my program CEO Mario Cristobal hat on, collective hat on, I'm a little concerned because, getting paid doesn't mean you're guaranteed performance. Okay. And, Tyler Van Dyke got paid last year. He got ballpark more than $700,000 plus to play quarterback for Miami last year, probably with all his other deals combined, probably close to 800, $1 million to play for Miami last year. And he was horrendous. Okay. Nobody got their money's worth for Tyler Van Dyke last year. So the money, the contracts, the NIL, they don't guarantee a damn thing. And when I see this type of indifference to the opportunity that's being offered, I get concerned for the program, because I wonder just how invested would Cam Ward be if he did come to Miami, and is he all in? And if he's all in, why didn't he commit right away? Why didn't he help them recruit other players like a Jeremiah Smith? I heard there might have been a conversation that might have taken place there. We didn't ever get a confirmation on that. But I would have liked to see Cam Ward commit and then go all in on recruiting Jeremiah Smith to come to Miami. And maybe that slight little bit of a difference at the end, could have been bridged. And maybe Miami gets Jeremiah Smith in addition to Cam Ward, or any but other elite receivers out there that might have wanted to come play with Cam Ward. So there's concern. I think there's a legit concern there. I don't think it's insurmountable. At the end of the day, what would matter would be what happened on the field between September and December with Cam Ward. But man, this is a tricky situation. And, we got a couple things conflicting here between the desire of a father to make sure he covers all his bases for his son, which any father out there could wholeheartedly endorse, and the interest of the football program, which is to get their ducks in a row and in place. Because there's another element of this as well, Matt, and that is this game on Thursday. And everybody's been, sort of talking about this a little bit too. But what if Jakari goes out there and plays great? Now, I personally don't think it means a whole heck of a lot. You're playing a 6-6 Rutgers team. They're decent on defense, but I don't think that Jakari having a good game Thursday alters the big picture of a program trying to put itself in a position to win the ACC next year, which Miami can do if it gets itself an elite quarterback. But boy, does that open a can of worms. And now you haven't gotten a commitment yet from Cam Ward, and you got Jakari sitting here coming off this great game, and you got a fan base saying, man, he could have been the quarterback all year long. Wow, look at that. Look how great he played. And now that's creating a whole bunch of drama as you look forward to next year. And now, instead of being committed to Cam Ward as QB1 going into next year, now you have all kinds of doubt and I'm not going to use the word controversy, but drama for sure. And it's just a little bit of a mess. And we're not going to speculate, Matt, because there's no point to trying to sit here and speculate now how Jakari is going to play on Thursday. But you've got to agree that if we get to Thursday and we don't have a Cam Ward commitment to come to Miami and be QB1 next year, there's a potential can of worms that's going to be opened up in the granddaddy of all sporting venues, Yankee Stadium, on Thursday.
It's a lose-lose situation. Same thing happened to me. I mean, what's going to happen to Shannon Dawson, regardless on Thursday, is what happened to me on Christmas Eve, because this is how I roll, okay? I was invited to a Christmas Eve party, probably never will be again, because they put all the food out on one table. And I eat quickly, and I'm ready for dessert. I want my dessert. I'm not going to linger at this Christmas Eve party, okay? And I happen to know the people, and I know their house. So I go into the back kitchen, and that's where they're hiding the dessert in there to bring it out later, because God forbid they put the dessert out, everyone leaves after that. I started eating the cookies and gorging myself. I thought I was alone, but the guy I go crabbing with, his wife came in and said, she says, my granddaughter pointed at you and said, Ma, I said, Grandma, whatever. You see that man? You see that man? And she's pointing at me. And my friend's wife, who's also my friend, says, yeah. And the little girl says, that man is eating cookies and it's not time for dessert yet. So she ratted me out. That's what I call a lose-lose situation. However, I did offer her money to never tell people again. When I offered the little kid money. I said, I'll give you $1 if you stop telling people when I'm eating the cookies. And she said, no. So then I told her I'm the cookie monster. And I asked if she wanted to be my helper. She said, yeah. I said, well, you know what the helper's job is? She says, what? I said, the helper's job is to never tell anyone when the cookie monster eats cookies. And then she was like, yeah. So then I shook one of her hands. One hand was picking her nose. I shook the other hand. But that's the epitome of a lose-lose situation. And that's what Shannon Dawson's facing, because if Jakari plays well, then Jakari's the cookie monster. And it's like, where was the cookie monster all year, right? Miami fans should have been gorging themselves with touchdowns and field goals instead of turnovers, And what was Shannon Dawson thinking? What kind of offensive coordinator is trotting Tyler Van Dyke out there, benching him for a true freshman? You have this guy who looks amazing, dual threat, can do everything, and can throw the ball down the field, because Shannon Dawson said heading to the game that Jakari's accuracy is magically fixed, is what he told everybody in the press conference. If that's true, then Jakari should and could be a fantastic college quarterback. Fantastic, if it's true. However, if Jakari's accuracy is awful and the team looks terrible, then they're going to lose to a not very good Rutgers team that has a good defense and a terrible offense. And yeah, you can make the excuse that, oh, Miami's missing all these pieces, whatever. But at the end of the day, you still lost to Rutgers, and you still finished 7-6, and none of that's good. So that's why it's a lose-lose. So Shannon Dawson's either going to be eating dessert in the back room, getting caught by a little girl yelling at him, or he's going to do the right thing and stay in the main room with everybody eating the steak and the chicken. And, he didn't get the dessert at the end and they lost. So I don't know how he emerges from this unscathed one way or the other. Like, it's literally a no-win situation for poor Mr. Dawson. No longer Shannon Awesome. He's just Shannon Dawson, and he's going to lose on Thursday. No matter whether Miami wins or loses, he's going to lose, period. And I guarantee you, next time we do this show after that game, we're going to be talking about how Shannon Dawson was a big loser, because there's no scenario in which he emerges looking good out of this game. And it's weird to say that, because you would always think there's a way for a coordinator to look good. But after this season and how his offense looked, and a quarterback who he refused to play for a single snap, if he looks great, if Jakari looks great, then Shannon Dawson looks terrible. And if Jakari looks terrible, then you just blame Shannon Dawson's offense all over again. And where are we going with this horrible offense? And we tried 3 different quarterbacks, and none of them could do anything really, because he wouldn't really use Emory to throw downfield. And Tyler apparently couldn't find any open receivers. He found the defenders were more open than his own receivers apparently most of the time. And where do you go with that? What do you do with that? I don't know, but that's where we're at.
I would encourage the fan base not to overreact to anything we see Thursday, but no one's going to listen to me. Everyone's going to be going crazy one way or the other.
If Jakari looks great, it's going to be a disaster. As weird as that sounds. That sounds crazy, but it's true.
It's going to be insane, yes.
If Jakari throws for 4 yards and runs for 120 and has 5 touchdowns, the fan base will demand Shannon Dawson's immediate firing, which is the craziest thing you could ever say for an offensive coordinator who's going to score 50 points against another team. But it's true. And he probably would deserve to be fired, as a matter of fact. I mean,
now, I do want to say a couple things that, we said in training camp and spring practice that Jakari did look better than he looked his first year.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I want to get that out of the way. I mean, he looked pretty bad his first year. I know Matt agrees with me on that. We watched it together. He looked better through spring practice and fall camp year 2. But he did very fairly get beaten out by Emory Williams, to be QB2 this year. There was no controversy. There was nobody who was mistreated. You never heard a word or a peep about any of that, because it was all very fair, and the whole team knew it was very fair. Emory Williams had the support of the entire football team that as QB2, and then certainly when he took over against Clemson. But he's not part of the equation right now. He's healing. So, it's going to be very interesting, to see. I'm hoping Jakari plays really well, because whether he stays or puts himself in the portal, he's got a lot on the line on Thursday, and he's a great young man, and he's got a lot of leadership skills, and he may need more time to try to progress as a quarterback in reality, regardless of what happens Thursday. But I think everybody should be hoping he plays well. We'll deal with the controversy and all the drama. You want Jakari to play well. You want Miami to win. I loved your story about the holiday parties. These holiday parties can go totally astray. I went to a holiday party too, where it was like one of those potluck gift things where everybody's told buy a $50 gift and put it on a table when you show up at the party, and everyone draws numbers.
It's called the white elephant. We call it the white elephant. I don't know.
The white elephant, party gig. Yeah. So this goes on, and everybody draws numbers. Well, one guy at the party decides he's not getting a gift. Okay, he forgot to get a gift, so he takes $50.
His name was Gary Ferman. Let's just get that out of the way.
It wasn't me.
Some guy would call him Harry Berman.
No.
Harry Berman forgot his gift.
No, it was not me. I have I have help taking care of those situations. It's called
Right.
my wife. She takes care of the gifts. She buys the gifts. She's got the Amazon account. She handles all that. So no, I was very well covered. But there was this one guy at the party, okay, who forgot to get a gift. He did not get a gift. And at the last minute, he took $50 cash and put it in an envelope. Okay. So we're going through the whole thing and everyone's getting their gifts. And like there's a puzzle, there's this, there's that, pickleball sets, the nonsense kind of gifts that people buy when they have $50 to spend and they go on Amazon. Okay. So, and then there was this one gift with an envelope with $50 cash in it. Okay. So we go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all these nondescript gifts. And then we get to like number 6. And keep in mind, there's like 15 people at this party. Okay. We get to number 6. And number 6 is the envelope gets picked. The person who had number 6 gets the envelope with the $50. Okay. Happened to be a 14-year-old girl. Okay. Who gets this envelope with $50. Well, now you have a room full of people who are saying, wow, that's a great gift. I want the $50. But to get the $50, you got to take $50 away from a 14-year-old girl. Who takes $50 away from a 14-year-old girl? Well,
this guy would do it, no problems.
He would do it without even thinking about it. That was the sentiment of a lot of people in the room, but we went through 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we got to, I think, number 12. And person number 12 decides, I'm taking the $50. And he takes the $50 right away from the 14-year-old girl and sends her back to the table to get herself a different gift.
Good for him.
How about that? And everybody's like, because they couldn't believe that somebody had the balls, for lack of a better word, to take the $50 from the 14-year-old girl. So these holiday parties, not just yours, where you got called out for being the cookie monster and diving into the desserts before they were served, not surprised by your lack of decorum, quite frankly. But these holiday parties can go crazy.
I mean, look, good for Mark D'Onofrio taking the money away from that girl. I mean, I have my own white elephant parties that we do, and like, we try to make the kids cry. We get bad gifts and then we get great gifts. And if I could cheat, I would cheat. Like, I hide my gift. Like, if I have a good gift, I hide it, and people forget what you get sometimes, and they're like, what'd you get? I'm like, I don't even know where it is anymore. You got to play the game, man. You can't just let people run roughshod over you in these games. You got to have some strategy. It's like, don't do what Josh Gaddis does. Have a strategy. Try to win.
Josh Gaddis.
He was in the news recently.
The Baltimore Sun. Ooh.
Yeah.
Boy, did they throw Josh Gaddis on.
They didn't even get the full story. They got part of the story. Whatever. I'm not going to go into it.
Yeah, we're not going into it, but
no.
Wow. But anyway, yeah, so holiday parties can go astray, kind of like this Cam Ward situation has gone astray. So we will continue to monitor this drama. I am hoping beyond hope that Cam Ward announces what he is doing today. Okay, I'm really hoping. And it's not out of the question. His dad told us Christmas. It's now, 2 days beyond Christmas. Not out of the question. Hopefully today will be the day. We will be continuing to watch this. But, as you see, it's a very tricky situation for Miami football. All right, let's move on to other topics, Matt. I guess we might as well shift gears now and say, hey, there is a football game on Thursday at 2:00. And the Miami Hurricanes are playing Rutgers in the Pinstripe Bowl. Now, if you admittedly didn't know that there was a game Thursday, or very little about this game Thursday, you are absolutely excused, not just because you've been distracted by the holidays, but because this game is totally under the radar. Like I've been talking to different people in the media. We have never seen anything like this. Like, I've been covering Miami football for 44 years. I cannot remember a bowl game where we had zero media availability before the team left town. And then even at the bowl site, there might be a press conference possibly later today of some sort with the coaches at the stadium. But to this point, there has not been one open practice. There's not been one player availability. Nobody has gotten to talk to Ja'Cory Brown. Mario Cristobal has said absolutely virtually nothing other than a couple radio appearances over the last few weeks. This game is totally under the radar. And I would say, oh my God, man, like Mario just wants everybody to just ignore this game and pretend this game doesn't exist. Except I know for a fact Miami's up there thinking we're not up here to screw around and disrespect the fact that we're playing a football game. Miami is up there with the designs of winning this game against Rutgers, like whatever it takes. It might not be easy. They're very thin in some spots because of guys leaving, especially like O-line, for example. No Matt Lee, no Javion Cohen. This is not a full strength Miami team. No Colby Young, for example. So you look at the secondary. No James Williams, no Cam Kinchens. This is not a fully loaded Miami team that's going to be at Yankee Stadium. However, they feel they have no excuses. They should have enough talent in this program to go up there and beat a 6-6 Rutgers team, and they are very serious, supposedly, about the game. But nobody's saying a word. There's been no media availability, no interest at all in promoting this game to the fan base. I'm not even sure I saw anything about bowl tickets going on sale or anything from the athletic department. I don't know what they're doing with their ticket allotments unless they privately place them. There has not been peep about this bowl game. It's the weirdest thing, Matt, I have ever seen. I'm a couple months older than you, admitted, but like I said, I'm on year 44 here. I've never seen anything like it. Your thoughts just on the whole bowl buildup?
It's weird that Mario literally said, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, how important the bowl games are to the program, that no minor bowl games are going to be treated like minor bowl games anymore because they've lost 10 of the last 11 bowl games, and how there's going to be this, renewed push to make sure that they win every bowl game and play their best and, make it a really important game, because you'd think that would be important to the fans and sort of get the word out on the streets. But Mario's shown time and time again that, he doesn't want the fans to have information because that's internal. Doesn't want the media, but same thing, media and fans, right? We give the media the information to the fans. So he doesn't want the media to divulge information, which is probably why we haven't had any availabilities. I don't agree with it. I'm always about, I would open practices up because I think players play harder when people are watching that aren't just coaches, and I think that's better for work ethic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I also think it's better for the fans and for the program in general to generate excitement around a bowl game. It's why you play the whole season. It almost appears like Mario is worried they're going to lose the bowl game, and he doesn't want to make too big a deal about it and have players talking about how important, because look, that's what they're going to be asked. Is this an important bowl game? And for players to be saying, yeah, we really need to win, and here's why, and and they lose, and now it looks like a letdown, versus just having no information and no players saying we really want to win this game. And then if you lose, it's, we were missing a lot of players, and this is no big deal. We have a whole new team. We're stacking recruiting classes, So it's almost like they're preparing to lose, which to me is a little weird because.
But I don't think they are. Everything I've heard is they're not preparing to lose.
It doesn't make sense. But I'm not saying they're. What I'm saying is it's almost like the way they are treating it. That's what I'm trying to say. Not that they think they're going to lose, but the way they're treating it on the outside makes it look like they're not putting an emphasis on it. It makes it look like they're not invested in it, because the recruiting had a huge press conference, answered all the questions. Mario answered all the questions. They were sending out tweets like crazy. I mean, where are all the tweets about the bowl game? They have some. They've had some pictures, but not a lot. There's way
not
more
a lot from Miami Hurricanes Twitter.
No, there's still more. There's more tweets from players about Cam Ward and about Antoine Jackson than there are about the bowl game. That's weird.
From the bowl game, I have not seen a lot from Miami Hurricanes Twitter. Not a lot.
No, I ate more cookies in the back room of that party than they've sent out tweets officially about this bowl game. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's still a bowl game. I mean,
they're in New York. They're going to see the Rockettes. They're going to see the World Trade Center Memorial. I mean, they're in New York having fun. I mean, aside from the damn riots that are taking place a couple blocks from their hotel up there, like, or demonstrations or whatever you call them. I mean, I call them riots because when you're slugging the police, to me, that's a riot. But other than that, it's going up there near where they're staying. Like they're out, experiencing the Big Apple. I mean, I saw Francis Marigoa freaking breakdancing in Times Square in one video. I mean, so they are having a little fun, but not a lot of talk about the game.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the game personally, but only because of Jakari. Like if Jakari wasn't playing in this game, I'm just not that excited to watch it. 2:15 on a weekday. I mean, whatever. But because of Jakari, I'm going to be very invested. I'm actually excited for the game. It would have been nice to talk to Jakari before the game and sort of get his mindset and see where his head's at and how his progress is. But I guess this play will speak for itself. And, I don't think fans care at this point. Fans are just saying, let's just trust Mario. If Mario doesn't want to give us information, we're fine with it. And that's what you're getting. That's what fans are.
What choice do they have?
Well, you don't have. If fans stopped going to games and literally were sending emails to Dan Radakovich saying, I can't get into this team because I know nothing about the players. I know nothing about what they're doing. All I can do is watch 12 games on TV and that's it, and have a few sound bites afterwards. I'm sure Dan Radakovich would say, hey, Mario, we're having more availabilities, and like the fans really are interested in the program, want to know more about the players, and need to learn how hard the players are working, what they're doing in the offseason. We used to get weight room reports, right? How everybody's doing, not just the good, but also the bad, guys that needed to lose weight after spring testing and things like that. The top 10, we used to run a top 10 list, top 10, in the 40 at each position. Even we'd have the leaders and the guys who needed to work and improve, who was injured, who was coming back. We used to have all this information, and fans loved it. Those were some of our most popular offseason stories, were the weight room stories. And now it's been shut down. Like you will not get an interview. And the funny thing is, the Miami Sports Information guy, when you request anybody now, he says, oh, yeah, we're going to work on that. And you know what that means? It's like when you tell your kid, maybe later. I want an ice cream, Daddy. Maybe later. Maybe later means no. Miami Sports Information, who are supposed to get us interviews, when they say, I'm going to work on it now, it means no. And that's not right. Just tell us no. Just say Mario doesn't want anyone to know anything about the program. And I'm fine with it. But don't come complaining to me as fans and say, hey, what's the depth chart? Which is what people are asking me. There's no depth chart, people. There is no depth chart. I can guess at a depth chart, and I put one out, but it's not anything I've heard from anybody at Miami because they do not want any information out there. And, fans want to know, how's Emory Williams doing? I tried to ask. I asked in front of every booster that matters, and Dan Radakovich at the press conference, I said, can you please tell us if Emory's going to play this spring, which is what fans were begging me to ask. And Mario said, F you fans, I'm not telling you. Because I'm the conduit for the fans. So F you fans, you don't get to learn about the team, but root for the Hurricanes, and hopefully it all works out in the end because Mario is a great recruiter. He's stacking classes, and there's no doubt in my mind this talent level is to the point where we're going to be a playoff team sooner rather than later. Just we may not really know much about what's actually going on, but you know what? It's fine. Because if you're in the playoffs, you're in the playoffs, and none of it matters, right? So I'm not going to be the guy who's like, this isn't good enough. I'm just explaining to everyone out there that why there's really, when you guys ask us stuff now, it's a little bit harder to get the information.
If they get Cam Ward, they got a chance to make the Final 12 next year.
Oh yeah,
they will have a chance.
Agree 100%. Listen, they have such an easy schedule next year; it's ridiculous. I mean, they should win 10 games without Cam Ward, honestly. But the problem's going to be what happened to FSU this year because Miami probably needs to lose only one game next year, realistically, to be in the top 12 teams at the end of the year because they're not going to have a lot of opportunities to beat really good teams, unfortunately. And I think that's going to be a very important factor when they try to figure out this new system and who gets in and who doesn't. Because you saw what they did to FSU this year. It wasn't that FSU lost a game or didn't play well in certain games or whatever. It was that, hey, you lost your starting quarterback, so you're not that good after all, and you're not going to be in the playoffs. And if they can say that about FSU, they can say about Miami next year, well, you didn't really beat anybody that good. You had one good win. And this other team lost one game or two games, but they were playing Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State and whatever. And they only lost those games by 4 combined points. So they're ahead of you. And that's a big problem. And that's why I always think Miami needs to have a tougher schedule versus an easier schedule. But in a really weak ACC, it's just tough now to do that. It's just tough, man, because Clemson's not that good anymore. FSU has been really good the last few years, but before that, they were no good. And who else are you going to point to? I mean, Manny Diaz's Duke team is probably the best team in the ACC right now, right? Because Manny Diaz is such a good head coach. He's going to turn them right around.
No comment. All right. So we've mentioned, obviously, Jakari, and we do have a story on the website, the mystery that is Miami Hurricanes quarterback Jakari Brown. And if you have not checked that out yet, make sure you do. We did our best to paint the picture of Jakari without being able to speak to Jakari. And we tried. We've tried very hard the last few weeks to talk to Jakari, and we just have not been able to do it. I mean, he's been walled off. I mean, they clearly do not want him talking about this bowl game. So we'll see what happens on Thursday, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of conversation about it. I'm sure the message boards will be going crazy, but you can check out that story on the website. We've also got some other stuff looking towards the game on the website today. We have our analysis of what the Hurricanes are up against Rutgers in the Pinstripe Bowl. We have our From the Other Sideline feature talking about what Rutgers is having to say about Miami heading into the game. So make sure that you check that out. All right, we have a few other things that we'll talk about today, but first I want to take a moment here and talk to you guys about GameTime.co, and they've been our sponsor throughout the football season. This is probably the last time until next football season, I believe, that you will hear me talking about Game Time because the contract's over. But file it away, download the Game Time app, because you're going to have some ticket needs probably between now and next August. Let's be honest. Like, you might want to go to a concert, you might want to go see theater, you might want to go to a comedy show, an NBA game, an NHL game. No matter what event you are looking to attend, GameTime.co has you covered in every which way. And you shouldn't have to be worrying about how you're going to get your tickets, where they're going to be, what seats are going to look like. Are you getting the best price when you want to go somewhere? Game Time, they are the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, theater, music, concerts, any event of any type near you, with their killer last minute deals. They're all in pricing, views from your seat. They have these beautiful graphics that show you exactly what your seat looks like. And it's amazing how they do that. Like, they literally have a realistic graphic that shows you what the event will look like from every seat in the stadium or arena. It's really absolutely fantastic. And they also have a best price guarantee. So if you find a seat in the same section, same row, that's cheaper than what you buy on Game Time, they will back it up with 110% guarantee, and make sure that you are covered financially as well. So head on over to the Game Time app anytime you want, buy your tickets, and when you do, and you can use the website or the app, by the way, you want to make sure you use the code CANES, CANES, and they will give you $20 off your first purchase. That's GameTime.co, not .com, .co, or the Game Time app. Buy your tickets, use CANES as your code. You get $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app. Get ready to get some great deals on tickets today, and don't forget about them, like I said, over the next few months. But the good news is they've already signed up to be a sponsor next football season. How about that? So you'll be hearing me talk more about Game Time next year, but make sure you check them out if you haven't already. It's a really, really, really good ticket buying apparatus and website. All right, Matt, I mentioned earlier in the show, Antoine Jackson, local cornerback, went to Dillard High School, and he was committed to Miami as a junior. Then he reclassified, and he was going to come out, and he's committed to Miami, and he backed out of his commitment. I don't want to say, I was going to say he could have used Cam Ward's representation as he was working through that process, because boy, did he make a bad decision. But he decides to go to East Carolina with his girlfriend. Now, listen, a lot of us have wives. Some of you guys have girlfriends. The women in our lives are more important than anything. No argument. But when you're 16 years old and you have your whole life ahead of you, I think I would have done what, say, Javion Cohen did when he was coming to Miami. And he had a girlfriend, too, at Alabama that he wanted to stay with him. He got his girlfriend into law school and brought her with him. And that's what Antoine Jackson should have done at Miami. Bring his girlfriend, forget about East Carolina, say, honey, you are not going to that East Carolina school. You are coming with me to Miami, and he should have stuck with his commitment, and he would be in a much better place today. But instead, he is in the transfer portal, and he's looking for a new home. And now Miami is not yet recruiting him. They have not been allowed to. He just went in the portal yesterday. And now they're distracted up in New York by this alleged bowl game that's going to be played Thursday. He's recruiting Miami. He wants to go to Miami. He has made it clear. Matt, you spoke to him. Give us a little bit of a synopsis of how badly now Antoine Jackson wants to be a Miami Hurricane.
Well, I didn't talk to him. I corresponded with his mom and a source close to him. But he tweeted out that he wants to be, basically wants to be a Hurricane.
He tweeted at the fans.
Yeah, at the fans. I mean, if you want to take that for what
it
is.
I wonder if Miami fans will take me back.
Right. Right. I do think if Miami wants him, he would wind up here. So we're going to have to wait and see. As of when I checked yesterday, Miami had not yet reached out. So, at the end of the day, the Miami roster numbers right now, I know fans just think, okay, we need cornerbacks, and so let's just take him. But the numbers aren't great. And really, to take a guy who's a true sophomore, who was a 2-10 East Carolina team, started 3 games, and he had some bright moments, no doubt about it. And he's a former 4-star who has tons of ability. I think there's no doubt about that. But there is some question marks about his decision making when he signed with Miami and then just backed out of it. And just knowing some other things, like I don't know. They're gonna have to really do their homework to make sure that he's the right fit, because you can't miss when right now they're at I'm just counting up right now. Right now they're at 94 scholarships. If this was next fall, which obviously it's not next fall, but you have to get it down to 85. So every guy they take that's going to be on the roster for a while is taking up a future recruiting spot, as everybody knows already. And they're going to have, as of now, 39 players who would be considered freshmen or redshirt freshmen next year. That's basically half the team. And then when you look at the next class up, you're looking at 25 more people. So that's almost the whole team. So you really want to balance your classes at some point. And to me, you need cornerbacks. There's no doubt about it. You have one cornerback in Damari Brown, who's pretty good. It seems like he'll be good enough. You got another in Darryl Porter Jr., who I think will be good enough. Jadaeus Richard, I think, is okay, but he really hasn't gotten enough action to know. And you need way more than that. So to bring in a guy who's a second-year guy who's had some experience, well, that's okay. But maybe you can get in the portal and spend some NIL money, because to me, you need free agents, guys who have proven they can do it with high production as full-time starters over hopefully more than one season, to be your guy until these younger players develop. Like, to me, that should be the goal, not to take more freshmen and sophomores, because you already got enough of those. So let's start balancing these classes. And at some point, like, it's just hard to kick off freshmen and sophomores, you look at it right now, they have 13 juniors as of now that'll be on the team in the fall. As of now, you have 17 seniors. So you've only got 30 out of 85. Well, really right now 91, but 30 out of 85 eventually that'll be upperclassmen. And that's considered a very young team. So to bring in more young guys, to me, doesn't make sense. And Miami's got to just figure it out. If they think the guy's a can't miss NFL guy down the road and he's so much better than everybody else, that's one thing. But we saw him play East Carolina.
They're not going to win with you. And I know I'm interrupting you a little bit.
At East Carolina, he started 3 games.
But you're gonna, if they go to transfer portal and bring in older guys, you're going to criticize them for that too.
No, not if they're good enough. And I have no problem taking guys who are one and dones. Like, that's fine as long as they can play. Not terrible guys. I don't mind taking non-free agents that are one and dones. I've already said that before. But if you take this guy, okay, not that he's bad, not that he's great, but this is the facts. He was at a terrible East Carolina team that was 2-10. They decided to start him for 3 games in the middle of the year and then benched him again. And he played off the bench for the final 5 games, and he had 19 tackles on the year. To me, that doesn't say elite. I get it. When he was a recruit, he was an elite recruit. I get it. Miami wanted him 2 years ago. I get it. But he got a chance to prove himself this year, and they said, we're going to put you back on the bench at a really bad program. That, to me, doesn't scream elite, and I want Miami to have elite talent. I don't just need a guy who, he can compete with Shodell. Maybe, he'll win the starting job. Like, I want a guy who he's the starter. He was all, second team, whatever, at whatever conference, because guys, by the way, can transfer now as much as they want. It doesn't have to be a guy, he's already transferred once, he can't leave. You can transfer anytime you want now. That's the new rule for this year. There will be guys in the second portal window, and you take this guy now and watch him in the spring, and then you can jettison him, I guess. But I don't know if that makes any sense. So I just don't know. I assume Miami's doing their due diligence, and you got to trust Alonzo and Mario and, Coach Shodell at some point, because they sure as hell know more than I do. But from the outside looking in, just the obvious, East Carolina put him back on the bench. He obviously wasn't invested with Miami after he signed and had a crazy recruitment at that point. I don't know. There's some red flags out there. That's all I'm saying.
All right, we got a couple other another couple recruiting things on the site. We've got an Inside the Lines feature with Miami commit Luke Nickel, who is the quarterback commit right now for the 2025 class. He recaps his amazing junior season, ended in a state title, and talks about how he plans to help the Hurricanes 2025 recruiting effort. And we've also got a story on the website with 5-star Alabama commit Jamie French. He talks about potential interest in Miami, that he sees the Hurricanes building something special. He is going to be playing 7-on-7 with the Miami-based South Florida Express this year, and that will be a unique opportunity for the Canes, in my opinion, because he's going to be around a lot. And don't be surprised if they make some headway with Jamie French and challenge Alabama for him before all is said and done a year from now in this recruiting class. All right, well, that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you so much for starting out your day with us. If you're on YouTube right now and you like the show, like this channel, hit your subscribe and like buttons. It helps us grow our audience. As usual, if you are not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please head on over to the website, CaneSport.com, and sign up. Join our community of fans. You will not be sorry. We got 8 months or so, 8.5 months to go here before we get to the 2024 football season. It's a lot of time for us to fill. We could do it together and have a good time along the way, covering recruiting, covering spring practice, and everything in between. So if you're not yet a subscriber, please head on over to the website and become one today. So thank you once again for joining us this morning. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We will see you next time, everybody.